First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak Kwadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while unto his truth, and also to those elect that is scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great, powerful lesson, the despair and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the title of today's lesson is A Year of Judgment, 2025. So I like to say shalom to all our listen and learn. Hope to help you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, have a quick news article here by CBS News. And it reads, it said at least 15 killed on Bourbon Street in New Orleans after driver intentionally slammed truck into crowd, dozens injured. So let's read a little bit more of this. It said a man intentionally drove a pickup truck into a crowd, revelers on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Said French Quarter early on New Year's Day, killing at least 15 people and injuring dozens of others, officials said. So a black, so-called black ISIS flag was flying from the truck rear bumper, and the attack is being investigated as a act of terrorism. The Federal Bureau of Investigation said, or the FBI. So we seeing right here, this been major news. Starting off this so-called New Year 2025. So we seeing right now that the Lord is constantly bringing this judgment down. And one thing about it, we see now that the Elder Tahar of Great Millstone has deemed this year the hopeful year of our deliverance and destruction and judgment on Esau. So, that we are getting very close. We know that we're one step closer, to our salvation. Also, we one step closer to the second coming of our Lord and Savior and our great deliverer. That's what we're constantly longing for each and every day. So we seeing right now that this devil is using this order out of chaos. So right now, could this have been a sleeper cell? Could this been, like they say, a terrorist attack, act of terrorism, whatever it may be? But we already knowing that he's getting ready to try to push his agenda, and we already know what that agenda is. Everything, all road leads to that grain of rice. In the middle of the Lord, we've been working overtime. We constantly warning you about all these different things constantly happening left and right. Also it was a man in New York on the subway was stabbed, on the subway. Also in L.A. At a Target retail store, it was a shooting there. It said just one thing behind another. Also, it was a cyber truck explosion, I think, in front of I think it was the Trump Tower, if I'm not mistaken. I think I have a video on that. So, it's left and right. So much things is constantly picking up. The tensions is constantly rising. Also, we seeing that violence is constantly rising up. And one thing about we seeing that the love of men is waxing cold and cold. And also, we constantly seeing that vengeance of that spirit of vengeance. The Lord is constantly releasing these death angels. Doing His bidding. Left and right. So the Lord is constantly bringing that judgment. It's constantly increasing. And one thing about it is, the body count is getting ready to be great. So let's read this once again. It says CBS News. It said at least 15 killed on Bourbon Street in New Orleans after driver intentionally slammed truck into crowd, dozen injured. So at first it's saying it was 10, but they said the death toll is rising. So it may be more than just 15, because one thing about it, we already know it. I live close to New Orleans, Louisiana. And one thing about it is that we know that I know how the streets be very, very packed, down there on Bourbon Street, And so one thing about it, we already know that that's the city of a lot of mirth, a lot of partying and drinking and having a great old time, a lot of folly. And one thing about it, the Lord is tired of it. The Lord is getting ready to show forth His great power. So one thing about it, a lot of people are saying that he was a sleeper cell. A lot of people are saying that he was a member of ISIS, and so forth and so forth. But one thing about it, we already knowing that, saying, could this be a psyop, or could this be a CI, what you call, I can't think of the name right now. But one thing about it, we already knowing that, all these things are leading to what they're trying to bring forth. We already knowing that, some part of this year, they already saying that things are getting ready to go digital, programmable, also implantable, that grain of rice under your skin. So these things are coming in the past, left and right. And one thing about it, while you're sleeping, the devil is constantly getting busy. So a lot of these things are happening. So we already knowing about this this influx of all these migrants. So right now, could this be that they're getting ready to are they activating these so-called migrants, or these young military age men that they have planted across all these different states and all these different major cities. So we beginning to see a lot of chaos is breaking out. Chicago, New York, Minnesota, New Orleans, Louisiana, L.A., what I'm saying? And the list go on, Florida. A lot of things are constantly happening around America as we speak. And one thing about it, we already knowing that he's getting ready to go head on. This is setting the stage for what they really want to bring forth. It's a 3-letter word. You understand what I'm saying? Total control. So we know that we are very close to these things are picking up. And also this new year is coming in with a bang. It also is coming in, a very prophetic. The prophet's constantly been warning you about these things left and right. And also, we know that some men's been in over 40 and 50 years, so constantly sign and crying, warning you of war, warning you of an evil time, warning you of a pestilence, all sorts of things that's coming to pass left and right. We are upon these perilous times. And one thing about it, we're living in the end time, real time. So now let's get a little bit of this video before we go any further. I got some more video to bring it out too, and also we're gonna get a few presets. Let's get this first video.
Search for the person or persons who authorities say helped a suspected terrorist pull off that horrific New Year's attack in the heart of New Orleans. Just hours into the new year, officials say the attacker, flying an ISIS flag from a rented pickup truck, plowed into a crowd of revelers on Bourbon Street, killing at least 15 people, wounding dozens more. Moments later, this assailant was killed in a gun battle with police that left 2 officers wounded. Officials say explosives were found in the vehicle and other parts of the French Quarter, a world-famous party district. The attacker has been identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S. Army veteran from Texas. Officials do not believe he was acting alone and have asked the public's help in tracking down additional suspects. The attack happened less than a mile from the site of tonight's now postponed college football playoff game. New Orleans is also set to host the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras in the coming weeks. We have a team of correspondents covering every angle of this attack, beginning with CBS's Omar Villafranca in New Orleans. Omar, good evening.
Good evening, Major. We are here in the French Quarter, known for the music and the celebration, but now it is an active federal crime scene. And this mayhem started early this morning, right behind me on the corner of Canal and world-famous Bourbon Street, when the driver of a pickup actually went around a police vehicle that was blocking Bourbon Street and started running over people in the French Quarter. We want to warn you, some of the video you're about to see is disturbing. Celebrations quickly turned into deadly chaos on Bourbon Street in what's now being investigated as an act of terrorism. Just after 3 a.m., a man driving a white pickup plowed into a crowd of New Year's revelers, killing at least 15 people and injuring 35 others.
The scene was just horrific. Being a Marine Corps vet, it felt like, back in Iraq again.
You just heard this squeal and the rev of an engine and then this huge loud impact and then the people screaming.
The driver, identified as 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, was killed in a shootout with police shortly afterwards, wounding 2 officers. Jabbar was wearing camo pants and body armor.
This man was trying to run over as many people as he possibly could. He was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did.
The FBI, now leading the investigation, says Jabbar was carrying an ISIS flag, had weapons, and at least 2 potential improvised explosive devices. Similar devices were also found in the area. Jabbar was a U.S.-born citizen, a resident of Texas, and an Army veteran. Authorities are questioning whether he acted alone. FBI Special Agent Alethea Duncan.
We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We are aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates.
The vehicle used in the attack was a rented electric Ford F-150 Lightning. It weighed more than 6,000 pounds and was accelerating to a high rate of speed when it collided with the crowd.
I just don't understand how such evil can exist.
Jabbar dodged barricades to target people. According to the city, construction has been underway to bolster its pedestrian barrier system. Meanwhile, authorities are also investigating a fire that broke out at an Airbnb the attacker was staying at, saying it is related. Jeff Gonzalez lives nearby.
And I noticed that the smell in the air was what we thought was fireworks.
And as more information...
We're seeing that more of these things are going to constantly pick up. So seeing that 2025 is coming in, you know what I'm saying? We know that it's going to be very more intense. You know, through much tribulation, ye shall enter the kingdom of heaven. You know, this we're seeing this order out of chaos. Also, could this been MK Ultra? Look that up. Also, could this been a CIA Mossad? You know, so a lot of these things that they're put in place to put forth another agenda. So we know that we're very close. You know, that these things are coming upon us left and right. So we're getting one step closer to our salvation. Also, we know we get ready to go through a great tribulation period that we have never seen before. The beginning of sorrow, great mourning, you know what I'm saying? Great death and destruction. And once again, Elder Tahar of GMS has deemed this year the hopeful year of our deliverance and destruction and judgment on Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. So now let's get a quick precept. So, you know, we're very excited. We're living in some very exciting time. Zephaniah chapter 3 will start here. The book of Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 5. It said, the just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning does he bring his judgment to light. So he faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. So the Lord is constantly handing down, you know, a judgment each and every day. And one thing about that just Lord is what? Yahweh, the great king that sits on the throne, constantly making it plain upon table. And one thing about it, you know, hey, you get ready to find out who your true power is very soon. And one thing about it, he faileth not, you know, it's right on schedule. First, my judgment would start at the house of Israel. It already was one, already they had announced that it was, I think it was an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old young lady. You know, she, I think she sneaked down there. Now she's unalive. You know, she was stretched out down on Bourbon Street. So, you know, hey, we constantly warning you left and right. These things about to pick up left and right. And it says here, it says the unjust knows no shame. So they're down there, you know, they know it's no shame. All they know is about folly, drinking, having a great old time, health of mirth, unaware, not considering, you know what I'm saying? Constantly in this world, walking around here blindly, you know, don't know who they are, don't know who their true power, and also don't know what time that we're living in. And one thing about it, they're in for a rude awakening. So let's read this in the NLT. It says, but the Lord is still there in the city, and he does no wrong. Day by day, he hands down justice, and he does not fail, but the wicked know no shame. So one thing about it is that we're seeing right now that these things are constantly picking up. If you do not think that we're living in the end time, you're wicked and you're going to be totally destroyed. And one thing about it, that, you know what I'm saying, it's time to wake up. You know, it's time to heed. It's time to seek the Lord right now while he can be found. So now let's go here to Amos. Let's go here to Amos chapter 3, and then we get some more videos. Amos chapter 3, just a quick lesson through the Spirit. And once again, I hope that you will get edified. Let's go here to Amos chapter 3 and verse 6. And it reads, says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord has not done it. So one thing about it, we're seeing that trumpet has been blown. We're seeing that the Lord is constantly visiting the earth that he created. And then once you see all these things that's going on around the world, left and right, the Lord is causing these things to happen. And the one thing, the Lord, he said, I kill, I wound, I make alive. I do all of these things. So as no one is going to escape the hands of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Let's read this once again. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord has not done it? So the Lord is in perfect control. So we see the Lord is bringing forth that judgment. Also, the Lord is bringing that spirit of vengeance, across America as we speak. And also we know that we're having a strong demonic presence. A lot of people have demons on, doing all sorts of wickedness. Like this man in this New York subway set this lady on fire with no remorse. So we coming upon that time. Lord is constantly raising these spirits up. You know what I'm saying? One thing about when the spiritual warfare, and we seeing it firsthand, it's going to constantly increase. It's going to escalate. All hell is getting ready to break loose. So now let's go here to the videos. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. And I hope that you will get edified. So now, before we start that, let's go here. Let's get this couple more news articles I want to get. Salakia. Let's go here first. It says here, we're just going to read a couple of them. It says here, target shooting in downtown Los Angeles. See it's kicking off. It says suspect in L.A. Target shooting is taken into custody. So this happened in L.A. today. You know what I'm saying? Happened inside of downtown L.A. I think he shot 2 security guards. I don't think anyone was killed. Let's see here. Might get a little to this one here. Let's get this one by CBS. Let's see what it says. We ain't trying to go too deep. Not tonight. It says a SWAT team from the L.A. from Los Angeles police department arrested a man at his West Lake District apartment complex Tuesday after he allegedly shot 2 security guards at a downtown Target. Investigator said the shooting happened just before 9 p.m. Monday, just outside the store near 7th Street and Figueroa Street. Hoping I'm saying that right. Said when the guards were confronting, said someone trying to leave with a suitcase containing stolen merchandise, according to the LAPD. Said surveillance video from the store showed the suspect attempting to walk out with the suitcase, police said. So we seeing right here, these things right here gonna constantly keep popping up left and right. And also they were saying down in New Orleans that this guy had a lot in his vehicle, and also in that the place that he was staying in, that the place that he was living in, say they had those the IEDs, those what you call improvised explosive devices. So you coming upon this that it could be a bomb, it could be a nuke go off. So a lot of things is constantly picking up. We're seeing it happening left and right. So let's get this last one here. Let's see if I can get this one right quick. If it'll come through. It says here, L.A. said Las Vegas police is looking for a link between Cybertruck blast and New Orleans attack. So that Cybertruck blast, I think was it Wednesday? It said authorities are investigating. This come from Newsbreak. Said authorities are investigating a Tesla Cybertruck explosion on Wednesday outside the Trump Las Vegas hotel Salaki in Nevada as a possible act of terror, said law enforcement said. So that's all we're gonna get of that. I got a little short video on it, but you can always go back and look at these news articles. They have these things left and right. So it's one thing behind another. And it's something I think it was like a copycat thing that happened in New Orleans, happening in Georgia. I can't remember I think it was last week. I know it happened not in Georgia, it happened in Germany. So, these things gonna constantly keep sprouting up, order out of chaos. And one thing about it, we already know that, the devil is getting ready to try to fill his belly, his scheme, his agenda, is in that plot. You know what I'm saying? Also, you know, they were saying that there's a lot of National Guards are coming into, along with the FBI. You know, certain parts of the city, they're going to be tapered off, you know. So right now, so a lot of things under investigation. So right now, they're under high alert right now. Explosive devices, 15 people, maybe more than that, has been unalived. So a lot of things is constantly happening, you know, as we speak. And one thing about it, you know, a lot of people still playing games, even though we know that New Orleans is supposed to host the Super Bowl this year. So we're going to see how all that fan out. So we already know that this devil got something cooking. So now let's go here to these last few little videos I got. Then we'll start the days. Let's get a few precepts and we'll close out.
A lot of Americans are confused because this guy who did this shit in New Orleans was not only a U.S. citizen, but he also served in the U.S. military. Well, let me tell you a quick story so you get a better idea of what's actually going on. I was in the prison system, people with bad paperwork or snitches would come through and they would instantly go into protective custody where they thought that they were unable to be touched. But in extreme circumstances, when this person did something really bad and we would want to get him, we would send a couple people who would pretend to go into protective custody and get over to the other side. They would lay low for a while, make the guy feel comfortable, and then they would handle their business and take him out. We call these sleepers, and they are all over the country, just waiting to be activated. They're everywhere. You don't know who they are. They could be your neighbor. They could be your best friend, just waiting for the orders to handle their business. Our country's under attack, people, and it's just going to get way worse.
In the meantime, investigating multiple stabbings on this New Year's Day, 2 of them happening in the subway system. Police tell us the first incident happened at 9:30 this morning. A 30-year-old man stabbed multiple times on the platform of the 1 train station at 110th Street. He's rushed to the hospital with stab wounds to the head, arm, and hip. Within an hour, emergency dispatch receiving a 911 call about a stabbing at the 14th Street station on the 2 line. When police and paramedics arrived, they found a 31-year-old bleeding from a stab wound in the back. He was rushed to Bellevue Hospital. Police have not made any arrests as yet.
News update about the attack in New Orleans. According to latest reporting, the suspect in New Orleans made a series of recordings before last night's attack. In the recordings, the suspect made reference to his divorce and how he had first planned to gather up his family for a celebration with the intent of killing them. And then he changed his mind and instead decided to join ISIS. He referenced several dreams in which he talked about that he should be joining ISIS, the terror group. These recordings have been obtained by law enforcement. They have been made while driving at night. According to CNN, the suspect is not visible because it's dark, but authorities believe that they were made while he was driving from Texas to Louisiana, although the exact timing is still unclear. As I reported earlier, there's law enforcement activity in Texas, in Houston, connected to what happened in Louisiana. The death toll has also now risen to 15 people. Remember, this is not an undocumented migrant or anything. This is a Texas Army Ranger, essentially. Convoy your thoughts, spread the word, and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
So we're seeing right now that these things is constantly, just pretty much every day. You know, this is every day something is popping off. So we'll start here. Quick, let's do the spirit. Let's start here first. Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 28. Let's get this right quick. It says here, let me highlight it right quick. It said, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sword strokes in the time of destruction. They pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. So we're seeing this spirit of vengeance is walking through the earth right now. So we know right now that man that drove that truck through that crowd. You know, that was the spirit of vengeance. The Lord put the spirit upon him. And one thing about it, say they are appeased, you know what I'm saying, are please who? The Most High. Because the Most High is causing these things to happen left and right. So right now, this spirit of vengeance is working overtime. Judgment is now at hand. And one thing about it, the Lord said he would cease the arrogance of the proud. You know, and also when you go to 2 Ezra chapter 8 and verse 50, you know, said because they have walked in great pride, you know, saying great misery shall come upon them. So we are right upon this time. So let's read this once again. It says Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 28. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sword strokes. Say, in the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. And about who made them? Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. These spirits are constantly working overtime. We're seeing a lot of increased violence. We're seeing a lot of people becoming unalive left and right. And the body count is going to constantly get greater and greater. The Lord is causing these things to happen. And one thing about it is no remedy right now. You know, the prophets are constantly sighing and crying, but you constantly despising the words of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. And the Lord is bringing these spirit of vengeance doing his bidding. You know, they're appeasing the wrath of them that made them. So, hey, man, we're here. Let's go here to, let's get a little bit more. Let's go here to Psalms, to back up what I was just saying. Psalm chapter 78. Let's get this one right quick. Psalm chapter 78 and verse 49. Psalm chapter 78 and verse 49. Let's highlight this one too. And it reads, said, he cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, said wrath and indignation going to righteous anger, said, and trouble by sending evil angels among them. So one thing about it, a lot of people, you know, they was enjoying their night, going on with their daily life, you know, and all of a sudden, you know, the Lord sent those evil angels among them, you know, and handle their business, you know. And one thing about anyone perish being innocent? No. You know, and one thing about it, you know, everyone has got to pay. Everyone has got to go in front of the judgment seat of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. So one thing about it, the Lord is constantly sending it down left and right. We're constantly warning you. The prophets of old have warned you of an evil time, warned you of a tribulation, warned you of persecution, warned you of war, warned you of pestilence, plagues, wickedness, all sorts of things we're constantly warning you about, but you still think that this is a game. Psalm chapter 78 and verse 49 said, he cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, said wrath and indignation and trouble by sending evil angels among them. That's what the Lord doing each and every day. And one thing about it, no one is going to escape the hands of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. The Lord do all these things. Let's get this one in Deuteronomy chapter 39. Deuteronomy chapter 32, if I'm not mistaken. Deuteronomy chapter 32, and I think it's around verse 39. And it reads, says, see now that I am he, and there is no power with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. Verse 40, for I lift up my hands to heaven and say, I live forever. Oh man, I'm telling you, the Lord is off the chain. He said, verse 41 said, if I wet my glittering sword and my hand take hold of judgment, so I will render vengeance to my enemies and I reward them that hate me. Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. So one thing about it, we see in the Lord, you know what I'm saying, he killed. So one thing about the Lord killed those individuals, you know, and one thing about it, and may the Lord, you know what I'm saying, have mercy upon him. You know, I don't know who all was unalive, but one thing about it, we know that we're in that time. You know what I'm saying? We're living in the end time, real time. These things gonna constantly pick up. One thing about it, you got to get the right mindset. Redeem the time wise. Watch, pray, and be sober. Ask the Lord, have mercy. Ask the Lord to camp the angels around. Because we seeing right now, the Lord is constantly making it plain upon the table. And also the Lord is bringing that judgment down each and every day. And these things gonna constantly increase. A time of trouble that we have never seen before. So now, let's go here Anyone perish being innocent. Let's go here. No, they don't. So a lot of people that passed away, I noticed that a lot of people saying, "Oh, this person was a good person. Oh, he was a good man. He was a loving father. She was a loving mother." But one thing about it, you got to pay for what you have done in your past life. Well, no one know what you did in your past life. You know what I'm saying? You got to pay for it in this life, but that's a whole nother story. If you can receive it through the Spirit. One thing about reincarnation, a lot of people right now, you know what I'm saying? Hey, this just, this is, we at the beginning stages, the beginning of sorrows, great mourning, great death, and destruction. We are here. It is at the door. 2025 is all the way live. Man, we're here, man. These things are constantly picking up. We are so very excited. Job chapter 4 and verse 7 said, "Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or were the righteous cut off." Said verse 8 said, "Even as I have seen, they that apply iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same." So you shall reap what you sow. So that's exactly what's happening. Anyone perish being innocent? No, they don't. So we seen that little young woman, which in fact, Lord may have mercy upon her. She was unalive. I think she was 18 to 19 years old. They showed it, I think, in a couple of these social media sites. So, had somewhere where she had no business. It's not a time to be in a big crowd. It's not a time to be in the house of mirth. You know what I'm saying? It's not a time to be in these great these areas where they're doing what is a lot of peoples. And one thing about it, things can be set off at any given time. So we in this time. We constantly warn you. Could it be another, like a 9/11? Or could it be a Red Dawn event? Could it be a Black Swan event? These things are coming. When they say peace and safety, then total destruction will come upon us. Verse 9, it said, "By the blast of the Almighty, they perish, and by the breath of his nostril, they are consumed." So we right there, the Lord's taking people out left and right. It's one thing about it, it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. Let's get this one here in Hebrews. I quoted, I might well get it. Hebrews chapter 10, we get this one, we get one more. Hebrews chapter 10, and I think it's around verse 30. Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 30 said, "For we know him that has said, vengeance belongeth unto me. I will recompense or repay, says the Lord. And again, the Lord shall judge his people." That's exactly what the Lord is doing. First, my judgment will start at the house of Israel, and no one is getting away. Verse 31, it said, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power." Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, fear the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Walk accordingly. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, come back, return to your true power while he still can be found. You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, we knowing that the famine of the word is fast approach. We knowing that this great tribulation period is getting ready to begin. You know what I'm saying? Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation, the MOTB. These things are right before our face. And one thing about it, we're getting closer and closer to all hell breaking loose, and all hell breaking loose, and also to what? The great and glorious return of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. It is here, it is at the door. Verse 31 again, Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 31 again, say, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power." And one thing about it, hey, keep playing games, but all the games about to be over. So now let's go to our last and final script. Let's go here to Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes chapter 9. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 12. We close out here. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 12. We close out here. And it reads that for man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in a even net. And as the birds that are caught in the snare or a trap, so are the sons of men snared in a evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. So one thing about it, we seen what happened, down in New Orleans, different parts of America. These people getting caught up in these evil nets, these snares, these traps. People in the house of mirth, folly, laughing and having a great old time, going on with their daily life. The busy body of this world. Letting all this foolishness and stuff weigh them down, not aware, not redeeming the time, or not being circumspect. That's why the Lord said, "Watch, look out." You know what I'm saying? One thing about it, be sober. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about it, keep your eyes on the prize, which in fact is the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. So that's reading the NLT. Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 12 says, people can never predict when hard times might come. So like fish in a net or birds in a trap, people are caught by sudden tragedy. So that's what happened, down in New Orleans and different parts of America, different parts of the world. People are constantly getting caught up in what? Sudden tragedy, sudden destruction, it's upon us. Sudden judgment is upon us. And one thing about it, people are suddenly becoming what? Unalive. The Lord is not playing anymore. The Lord is getting ready to perform his enterprise. And one thing about it, the Lord is getting ready to set that righteous order back upon this earth. And we constantly seeing it left and right. The prophecies are speaking. The men of the Lord constantly sighing and crying, but we already know that it has an expiration date on this truth. One thing about it, you better get it while it's hot. The men of the Lord are standing on their watch. We'll stand on fire for Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua. We constantly warning you, left and right, one step closer. And once again, Elder Tahar of GMS had deemed this year the hopeful year of our deliverance and destruction and judgment of Esau. So hey, that's plain and clear right there. And we hoping and praying that we get the hell out of here. So the title of the day lesson, once again, is a year of judgment, 2025. So I'd like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahushua, by Hashem, Rekah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom, Shalom.